Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Kat and today I'm here to answer a question. What's the deal with character meet and greets at Walt Disney World right now? I got this question over on the Two Foolish Mortals Jamboree. That's our Facebook group where we talk about Disney, vacation planning, and all the other news and information you might want or need to know if you're planning a Disney trip. And I thought it was a really good question. I wrote about it on our website, which will be linked below, but I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about my experience here on the Two Foolish Mortals YouTube channel because I just recently got back from Walt Disney World, which by the way, if you want to join me for that adventure, vlogs go up every Tuesday. And having had the opportunity to meet a few characters myself, I thought I'd give you an idea of what to expect if you're visiting in the near future. Now, before we even get into it, I want to be very clear. Since the parks reopened last year, the whole situation of how things work at Walt Disney World has been changing really quickly, and it continues to change to this day. So keep in mind that everything I'm saying here may have changed by the time you visit if you plan on making a trip in the coming weeks, months, or even later this year. I'll do my best to make sure that I add any updates to the description box so that you know what to expect, and maybe I'll even make an update video if it happens anytime soon. So, what is the deal with character meet and greets at Walt Disney World? Now, currently, character meet and greets at Walt Disney World are not what you are familiar with from the past. Like many other things in the past year plus, there have been changes to the way that people meet characters in the parks. But I'm gonna say something that might be a little controversial. I actually like it better. Just put that in your back pocket, hold on to that for a second. Let's talk about what the process is. Now, prior to the closures last year, if you wanted to meet a character in the parks, I'm not talking about character dining or anything like that. We'll get there, okay? We're not there yet. If you wanted to meet a character in the parks, you would do this by checking a schedule. There would be a designated place where you could go to meet that character, and you'd probably be waiting in a line. This has since changed. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to see characters in the parks, nor does it mean that you won't be able to get your picture. The only thing that you won't be able to do is get a hug or get an autograph. I know, it's a bummer, but honestly, you have the opportunity to meet a lot of characters and have some interactions that, quite frankly, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to have before. So let's talk about the two ways that you can see characters while you're in the parks. There are cavalcades, which are small parades, and there are just experiences where characters are wandering about and you can stumble into them. Let's get cavalcades out of the way. These are what I'm going to describe as small parades. Now, I know that technically parades aren't happening at Walt Disney World right now, but at various times throughout the day, multiple characters kind of walk along the parade route, sometimes even on parade floats, and give you the opportunity to wave, blow kisses, show your muscles, or even just take a picture. You might be skeptical, but there are opportunities to take pictures with these cavalcades. Just like everything else, there's no schedule with these cavalcades. They just kind of pop up, and there's no like set characters that are necessarily going to be in them, although I did see that specific cavalcades with the same characters happened multiple times per day. I noticed that during the time that I was at Walt Disney World. So there are opportunities to see characters multiple times throughout the day, and you can see multiple characters. How will you know a cavalcade is coming? Well, it's very similar to how you'd know the parade was about to show up prior to when parades weren't happening anymore at Walt Disney World. The music changes and gets really, really loud, and then you have anywhere from like 30 seconds to a minute. I didn't time it, but that's around the time that it took for the cavalcades to actually get to me by the time I heard that music. When the cavalcades come by, it's at a really leisurely pace. So there's plenty of time to get your camera, get your phone, even like pose the family so that you can get a picture with whoever it is that you want to get a picture with. I also noticed that there was plenty of time to get a picture of the characters coming and going as well as take a selfie. So I understand that like wrangling kids can be really difficult, so it might be slightly difficult for your family specifically, but if you hear that music coming and you get yourself ready, you should have plenty of time to take that pic or to get that quick video of your little princess blowing kisses to the little princesses or the full-size princesses who are passing by. Now, personally, I love the cavalcades. I never had any trouble getting a spot. It's not like with a parade where people are camped out all day, wasting like long stretches of their day to try and get a good spot to see the parade. None of that. They just come on through. Everyone kind of stops where they are. They move out of the way because you can't stand in the middle of the street as one is coming by. And you just get to enjoy it. It's really nice. I also found that I had more opportunity to have like one-on-one interaction with characters in the cavalcades than I have ever had with a parade. So I had an opportunity to talk directly to Gaston. He gave me a hard time because I wasn't showing my muscles, but obviously I'll have to work on that so that I can rectify the situation next time. I also had plenty of opportunities to wave and get attention from characters directly, even though they were passing by. So that was pretty cool. Now, the second way that you can meet characters at the parks and have a little bit more of a personal experience, take a few better pictures, is if you happen to just stumble into them. Again, there are no designated times or locations, but you can find characters all over the place at Walt Disney World. I got a chance to see Donald Duck spraying for bugs in the greenery right in front of the Chinese theater. I also had the opportunity to see Mickey and Minnie as I went into Epcot. Oh, I even had an opportunity to see Liverlips, who's one of the country bears. He was up above the Country Bear Jamboree, blowing me kisses and giving me little hearts. It was so cute. It was so much fun. And although I did take a picture, it was one of those moments that even as a full-grown adult, you're sitting there talking to this bear up on a balcony and you're like, yep, I'm a kid right in here. Now again, when you stumble upon these characters, it's not quite what it used to be. Generally speaking, there's a barrier between you and the character. I'll go ahead and put some pictures in here and show you exactly what I mean. For example, with Donald Duck, he's actually in a gated like green space. Liverlips, of course, was up on a balcony, and Mickey and Minnie were set behind some hedges. They were low enough that kids could see over them, but they still had that barrier there. Now again, the downside, you don't have autographs, you don't have hugs. But there is a major positive to this, at least in my opinion. Because there are no designated times or locations, there isn't a line to stand in, which means if you want to meet characters and snap a quick picture or turn around and take a selfie, you can do that fairly easily without eating up a chunk of your day. I had the opportunity to kind of squeeze in and take a bunch of different pictures of a bunch of different characters and even just kind of say hello, even though I didn't get as many selfies as I wanted to, but what are you gonna do? And it never took me more than a few minutes. And keeping an eye on the people that were around me, I noticed it was pretty much the same for everyone else. I mean, of course, little kids want to spend more time with the characters than older kids, myself included. But there was such a large area along the barricade between you and the characters that not only could you get that interaction, but the character could then move to the next person, and it kind of kept a nice flow of people. No one was ever really just camped out there in front of the characters so that other people couldn't get a turn, and there were really no like turns. Just kind of went up, waved, said hello, snapped a picture, and moved on. I cannot tell you how much better this process is and this experience is than before. In fact, I love seeing characters. I love getting pictures of characters, but I never did it prior to the change because I don't see it as a good use of time to wait for 45 minutes, an hour just to get a picture with a character. Now, I didn't just like this process because it meant waiting in less lines. I also like this because it meant more characters were out and about. And for me, with Walt Disney World being like where all these characters live, right? Like, anyone else feel that way? It's kind of nice to see them in their home environment, you know? Donald Duck out in the wild spraying for bugs because That's exactly what Donald Duck would be doing. Now, of course, character meals. You have the opportunity to meet your favorite characters at character dining locations, and character dining locations have returned, although some haven't and others have returned but with no characters, so be sure to check that out if you are interested in doing character dining. Character dining has also been modified, so although you won't have that opportunity again to get the autograph or the hug, you will have an opportunity to have a character come in your general vicinity, and you will definitely have an opportunity to get a good picture of that character or even with that character, even though you're at a distance. Which reminds me of something that I had to say as well. The characters, whether they're in the cavalcades or just kind of out in the wild, have been doing a really great job at posing for selfies and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to get the picture or the time that they so desperately want, because it's part of the experience. Everyone wants to experience that, and they know it. They're doing their best to make it happen. So that's also a positive of this whole thing, and just, something to keep in mind. Whew, I have been going on for quite a while about this one, but I have so much information that I'm trying to share with you. At the end of the day, I do like this better. I know I've said that a few different times, and I think that you'll probably like it a whole lot too. You just have to give it a chance. And I understand that when we're going into this kind of new environment where things are different and things are changing, it can kind of be difficult to adapt to those changes. But I do think that this is a fun way to meet characters and see a lot more than you normally would have the opportunity to see if you were visiting Disney. As always, we would love to know what you have to say about this. Do you like this change? Does this sound interesting to you? What do you like? What don't you like? Tell us all about it by leaving a comment down below. Well guys, thanks so much for hanging in there with me while we talk about character meet and greets. As always, be sure to check the description for links, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested in what we're doing here. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.